very happy with this potential, ban in Wales. Ben, very, very good morning.
Morning, Ben.
Morning.
Ben, look, I don't go racing dogs a lot, but my friends of mine, when I was playing at Ipswich a long time ago, had some lovely dogs. They were treated brilliantly, and we'd go around the country, open races, stuff like that. So it's something I've not grown up with, but I've enjoyed it. What is your main problem here? Do you think it's cruel? Animals get hurt? What's the big problem in your heart that you welcome this this finding?
Yeah, well, I went to the races as well when I was younger with my dad, but that was 25 years ago. I'm older than I look, but. And I don't want to get sanctimonious, but time's moved on. And so, for example, in dog racing, hundreds of dogs die on British racetracks every year. So much so that there are freezers on site to keep the dead bodies. It's like something out of a horror film. So I was genuinely surprised when asked to come on that you'd be able to get someone on to defend it, because it's a tough gig. It's a tough gig.
Well, are you same as horse racing? Are you the same sort of bracket as that?
Yeah, it's a similar story. Like public opinion, so I had a quick look at polls on dog racing. It's like all of it's majority show a majority of the public are against dog racing now. So public opinion on dog racing is further ahead.
35,000 signed this petition.
Yeah, but in like YouGov polls or surveys of the public, they're all like 60%, 70% are against it, and that's why the Welsh.
Not horse racing, no.
No. Horse racing is a little bit further behind, but it's not doing too much better. But yeah, it's not quite the stage dog racing, but. Really, probably any industry which is based on animal cruelty has a bit of a time limit on it now. Like obviously, like bear baiting, dog fighting.
Oh no, bear baiting! You can't put that in the same.
Yeah,
no, you can't.
I know.
No. Let me bring in Mark Bird, Chief Executive of the Greyhound Racing. Mark, a very good morning.
Morning, Alan.
Mark, would you like to respond to Ben there about freezers on site and all these dogs are dying on racetracks?
Freezers exist. I mean, they're there because dogs do die on the track, unfortunately, and we're doing our level best to make sure that those numbers come down. In fact, the last 6 years, the numbers that have died have halved, and we will continue to do that. The freezers, come on, Ben, at the end of the day, that's a mark of respect for the dogs if they have to be, obviously they're going to be cremated after if they do die at the tracks. But more ostensibly than that, you mentioned the petition, Alan. I mean, those 35,000 names that are in Wales, most of those people weren't even resident in Wales. They're from all over the world. So it's a bit of a nonsense, really, that the Welsh Assembly are using that as part of the reason to ban greyhound racing in Wales.
Ben, would you argue that point?
I wouldn't know much about that petition. But Mark, for example, let me just say 80% of dogs in the UK come from Ireland. In Ireland, 6,000 dogs are killed every single year because they're just not fast enough. In the time trials, they're just killed. There's 16,000 in total bred. 6,000 of them are killed before they even make the racetracks because they're not fast enough. Honestly, it's like I just don't understand how anyone can come on to one of the country's biggest radio stations at 6:30 in the morning and defend that. It's like because no one would want anyone watching this who has a dog wouldn't want their dog to live that life. I really can't imagine that.
So, Ben, it's been 25 years since you went racing, and a lot's changed in those 25 years, and that includes even with the Irish and the Greyhound Racing Ireland in terms of traceability on dogs. And so those 6,000. That's a figure that you've plucked out of the air. That's not nowhere is that actually evidence. And that's again going back to Wales. That's the problem. They've gone on an emotive issue rather than an evidence-based issue, which is what the Greyhound Board has actually achieved there.
So, Mark, am I right in saying there's just one track in Wales?
There is only the one track, Alan, and that's only been in existence in terms of it being licensed by the Greyhound Board since the end of 2023. So again, this is even more a perverse decision on the Welsh Government because it is a regulated track with the same way that there are regulated tracks in England.
So the UK is one of the only, I think, 7 countries in the world where greyhound racing is legal, and it's as like the UK is on most things is like nation of animal lovers, treats animals pretty well, and it's just a bit embarrassing that we're really one of the last ones holding the fort on this. So I
have to beg to differ. I don't see it embarrassing at all. If you want to go racing, dog racing, fine. People pay good money for them, as Ray said. You've had greyhounds.
I've had greyhounds, yeah.
And they're treated well. They're fed well.
All I know
they're
for a fact,
every day.
they really look at after they finish their careers as well. And every dog's going to get older, and they give them good homes. They always find homes for greyhounds.
Not always, but you know,
a big percentage if they do, and they really work hard at that. So I'm just going by what I see when I go down to the kennels. When I had greyhounds, they was all looked after. They all looked very happy, and they got exercised and trained and that sort of stuff. But I can see both sides of the story.
Just to go back to your point, 96% of those dogs that race at tracks go on to a loving home. That's
absolutely.
The reality.
And by the way, we have 6 in a race, whereas you go to Florida and places like that in America, they have 8, don't they?
Well, they do, and same in New Zealand. New Zealand have recently come out and said that they're going to ban greyhound racing. They have 8-dog races. It's like it's trying to compare apples with pears. It's just irrelevant. We actually minimise the risk and we maximise welfare of the racing greyhounds. And that's the core of what we do.
Yeah, no one wants dogs to be hurt. Like no one here, no one in the greyhound industry. But it's just a reality that these greyhounds are dogs, not lottery tickets. And as part of that, as part of the races, hundreds die, thousands get put down. This is the reality of the industry, and like no one's got bad intentions here. It's just what's happening.
Wait, Ben, if this happens, horse racing will be next. That'll be next.
Where else, Alan? Because you've got this is thin end of the wedge. If it's greyhound racing today, it will be jump racing next, and then the flats and everything else that involves animals. And Ben himself, as a co-founder of Animal Rising, would have you not having animals as pets. That's again the reality of what's being espoused here.
No, I wouldn't. Having dogs is great. That like man's best friend. Everyone loves dogs. This is why I love dogs. I have a family of dogs. But this is why I find it so strange that we've got dog racing, because...
let me just ask, please, Mark, attendances now, are they... Because once upon a time, greyhound racing had fantastic attendances. What's it like now?
Well, it's still one of the top 10 spectator sports in this country. It's fallen down the ladder, but it's still within the top 10. And at the end of the day, you've got to remember there's only 20 or 19 tracks now that are in the UK.
Yeah, Crayford just shut there a few weeks ago, didn't it?
Crayford, which is a really sad thing to do, given that it's one of the few tracks that we still, like to say, is in London. You've still got Romford, obviously, which Ray is watched these dogs race
I was at the last Greyhound Derby at White City all those years ago.
Well, you're welcome to come along to the next derby, which will be at Toaster later this year. So.
Well, guys, look, we're not going to, we're going to argue, aren't we? So I appreciate you both coming on. So Wales, it looks as if there's going to be a ban in Wales, but personally, I hope not in England. But I really appreciate your time. Thank you. And I appreciate it's not an easy subject, so well done. Thank you. Right, 6:44. Thanks, guys. Superstar.